I think of great rhythm guitar players in jazz. I'm definitely thinking of Freddie Green. I'm definitely thinking of
Mm-hmm.
Herb Ellis, Joe Pass. We mentioned Kenny Burrell, George Benson. I'd put Metheny in there. I'd even put
Mm-hmm.
Schofield in there, just for
Mm-hmm.
getting into like more of a fusion way of playing rhythm. And then you can open that into different genres. Like think about the rhythm Al McKay, that kind of rhythm guitar. I mean, that's really deep, funky
Yeah.
rhythm guitar. Um, and then, yeah, when I think of someone that really plays great lead guitar in jazz, obviously a lot of those people come to mind, but I'm also thinking of someone like Bill Frisell, right? That can play a melody that is like soaring and beautiful, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
like solidly directly in time the way you might have like some really swinging rhythm guitar be, but it's very effective. So I think that's the real interest for me when it comes to these two different worlds of guitar playing. It's like understanding the similarities and differences and being able to explore them.
So, you brought up a lot of different types of players. You
Yeah.
were just talking about like Bill Frisell versus Freddie Green. And I think a big part is you mentioned the word sustain. If you're in a rhythm guitar mindset, you don't really need a lot of sustain, especially if we're talking about like really digging in to the box. In this case, we're all on boxes, right? Might be totally different if we're on a solid body, but in general, like if New West is playing one of our arrangements, we usually back the volume off on the guitar to get more
Or that percussive
of
feel.
that
Yeah.
percussive aspect, right? There's not in our ensemble situation. There's not particularly a lot of like type of comping. Somewhat, but not as much as. Whereas whoever's soloing might turn their volume up some. Now, if I turn my volume down and try to really do lead stuff, that has a different effect, but you have to dig in a little more.
Right.
So, and if you're cranking the volume, you can articulate a little softer, and usually the lines come out a little more relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our group is definitely an example of how we might approach rhythm and lead. A lot of the rhythm parts are very deliberately on the beat because we're trying to compensate for not having bass and drums, right? But I'd say even some of the lead parts are that way because in our group, it's like everybody's contributing to the time. We don't have as many chances to kind of have somebody being a little bit more elastic with the time from a lead
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, just from the nature of our group. But I think that's a really important aspect of trying to play lead guitar is being able to shift away from the time a little bit. Like I said, the way
Mm-hmm.
like a vocalist might, or the way a horn player might, that to me is really getting into the essence of lead guitar. Like, especially when you get outside of the realm of jazz and you think of like great lead guitar players on solid body. It's like they're not always playing, directly on the time, right? They're kind of like
They're like a vocalist, like they're just
exactly,
soaring over the song.
exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Will, you do some of that with with your solid body guitar, where you're trying to play more melodically. And I think just
Definitely.
discussing the differences between being in that world versus having your acoustic guitar and trying to play like a big fat pocket that's going to kick the whole band. I was doing some of this the last 4 nights where I was going from playing like a lot of rhythm in a drumless group and then turning around and playing like lead solos, and it's actually can be kind of like a bit of a mind fuck a little bit, because
Yes,
you're
it can.
you're going from one zone to another zone, and it's like you don't really see piano players doing that. You don't. I guess bass players
That's a
kind of
good
do
point.
that.
Do you see any other instrument have to operate in such a wide variety? John, what do you think? Like between like what we're talking about, laying down rhythm and having a sustained melodic sound, what other instrument actually has that much variety in the sound and feel of their instrument? I don't think
it's a
any
good-
Well,
instrument.
I think really, really great drummers are like that. I think they
Mm-hmm.
play totally different when they're playing melodic and then when they're playing really supportive. But then again, like for us, we have a kinesthetic difference. Like we've joked about at New West playing like intense 4 to the floor, long rhythm guitar, and then trying to play single lines. I mean, it's like trying to sprint in a marathon and then all of a sudden go down to like a jog. I mean, that's really intense, and it's a physical thing, and you feel it in your forearms. And I've tried to get, it's all in the wrist. That's definitely where a lot of that rhythm guitar comes from. It's not in the forearms. With a minute your forearms get stiff, you're done. But